Hello Reddit. This is my first post, so please bear with me. I wanted to share my story and maybe get some advice or support. I 3 feel like I'm stuck in a rut, and I don't know how to get out. Here's my situation. I'm in my mid-30s, working a dead-end job as a customer service representative for a small company. Every day feels like a grind, answering angry calls and solving other people's problems while my own life remains stagnant. My paycheck barely covers my bills and rent for my tiny one-bedroom apartment, leaving me with little to no savings. The fear of a sudden expense is a constant weight on my shoulders. My social life is practically non-existent. I moved to this city a few years ago for a job opportunity that didn't pan out as expected. Since then, I've struggled to make any real connections. My evenings and weekends are spent alone, either binge-watching TV shows or scrolling through social media, seeing the highlights of other people's lives while mine seems to be stuck on pause. My family is distant, both emotionally and geographically. We used to be close when I was younger, but over the years, we've drifted apart. They have their own lives and problems, and I often feel like an outsider looking in. Phone calls are rare and usually brief, filled with awkward silences and polite inquiries. My parents live several states away, and visits are infrequent. My younger brother, who was my best friend growing up, now has a busy life with his own family and career. I have goals, I really do. I want to write a novel, get in shape, and maybe even start my own business someday. But every time I try to take a step forward, something pulls me back. It's like there's a wall I can't break through, and I end up falling back into my comfort zone of doing nothing and feeling like a failure. A typical day for me starts with the screeching alarm clock at 6:30 a.m. I drag myself out of bed, groggy from another restless night, and stumble into the shower. Breakfast is usually a cup of instant coffee and a stale bagel. Then, it's off to the office, where I sit in a cubicle under harsh fluorescent lights for 8 hours, dealing with irate customers and unappreciative supervisors. My lunch break is often spent alone in the break room, eating a sad sandwich while mindlessly scrolling through my phone. Evenings are no better. I come home to an empty apartment, too tired and unmotivated to cook a proper meal. More often than not, I order takeout and eat in front of the TV. My apartment is a mess, dishes piled up in the sink, laundry scattered on the floor, and a thin layer of dust covering everything. I tell myself I'll clean up tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. The turning point came a couple of months ago. I ran into an old friend from college who was in town for a conference. We grabbed coffee, and he started telling me about his life, how he's been promoted several times, travels the world for work, and has a beautiful family. I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy and self-pity. What happened to me? Why did I end up here? That night, I lay on my couch, surrounded by empty takeout containers, feeling utterly defeated. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had wasted my potential, that I was a failure. I thought about all the things I wanted to do with my life and how far I was from achieving any of them. I tried to muster the motivation to change, to do something, anything, but the weight of my despair was paralyzing. A few weeks ago, I attempted to break the cycle. I made a list of small, achievable goals: clean the apartment, go for a 30-minute walk, call a family member. I figured if I could accomplish these little tasks, I might start feeling better about myself and more capable of tackling bigger challenges. But the first week was a disaster. I came home exhausted and overwhelmed, and the list remained untouched. The mess in my apartment seemed to grow, mirroring the chaos in my mind. I skipped the walks, telling myself I'd start tomorrow, but tomorrow always brought new excuses. I tried calling my sister once, but the conversation felt strained and awkward, and I haven't tried again since. The motivational videos I watched online talked about taking control of your life, setting small goals, and gradually building momentum. But for me, even those small steps feel insurmountable. Each day blurs into the next, and the thought of changing anything feels like an impossible dream. My novel remains unwritten, my business ideas untested, and my health deteriorates as I continue to neglect myself. So here I am, Reddit, reaching out because I don't know what else to do. I'm stuck in a life I don't want, feeling more isolated and hopeless with each passing day. How do you find the strength to break free when everything feels so overwhelming? How do you start over when you've already given up so many times? Any advice or support would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for reading. Stay tuned for hopefully something better. Update. Hello Reddit. I'm back with an update. Thank you for all the support and advice after my first post. It took me a while, but I wanted to share some positive changes that have happened since then. Here's how things have turned around for me. After my last post, I realized that waiting for motivation wasn't working. I needed to take action, no matter how small. So, I decided to start with the tiniest steps I could manage. I began by setting one small goal each day. The first day, it was simply making my bed. The next day, I did the dishes. It felt almost insignificant, but completing these tasks gave me a small sense of accomplishment. Over time, these small victories started to build up. I gradually added more to my daily list, going for a short walk, cooking a simple meal, writing a few sentences for my novel. I kept the tasks manageable to avoid feeling overwhelmed. The key was consistency, and slowly but surely, I began to feel a shift in my mindset. A couple of months in, I started writing regularly. I joined an online writing community, which provided the encouragement and feedback I needed to keep going. Sharing my work with others and receiving positive reinforcement was incredibly motivating. It reminded me of the passion I once had for storytelling. At the same time, I focused on improving my physical health. I made it a habit to go for a run every morning before work. It was tough at first, but I gradually started to enjoy it. The physical activity not only improved my fitness but also boosted my mood and energy levels. With these positive changes, I began to reassess my job situation. I realized that my dead-end job was a significant source of my unhappiness. I dreaded going to work every day, and it drained me both mentally and emotionally. I started exploring other career options, thinking about what I truly enjoyed doing. I've always loved working with my hands and creating things, so I started doing some freelance woodworking on the side. I began by making simple furniture pieces and selling them online. The process of creating something tangible and seeing people appreciate my work was incredibly fulfilling. Eventually, I reached a point where I had to make a tough decision. I decided to quit my full-time job and pursue woodworking full-time, even though it meant taking a significant pay cut. It was a risky move, but I believed in my passion and my ability to make it work. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but the thought of continuing in my old job was unbearable, and fortunately, this decision came with its own set of challenges. With the reduced income, I couldn't afford my apartment anymore. Moving back in with my mom would have felt like admitting defeat, so I reached out to my brother instead. He was incredibly supportive and offered me a room in his house. It wasn't ideal, but it was a temporary solution that allowed me to focus on growing my woodworking business. Living with my brother has been an adjustment, but it's also been a blessing. He's been a great source of support, and his encouragement has kept me going during tough times. We've grown closer, and I've realized the importance of having a strong support system. Now, a few months into my new venture, I'm starting to see progress. My woodworking business is slowly gaining traction. I've built a small but loyal customer base, and I'm constantly improving my skills and expanding my product line. Financially, things are still tight, but I'm optimistic about the future. I'm far from having it all figured out, but I'm on a path that feels right for me. I'm doing something I love, and for the first time in years, I'm excited about the future. I've learned that small steps can lead to big changes, and sometimes taking a risk on yourself is the best decision you can make. Thank you, Reddit, for the encouragement and advice. Your support has meant more than you know. I'll continue to update you on my journey. Stay tuned for more progress.